Hey, hello everyone. Hope I'm audible. Just let me know if I'm not. Um, let's try fixing the most technical glitches at the initial stage. You can,
Hey, hello everyone.
you can actually try, telling me if you're able to see me and hear me properly. And once you confirm, we'll wait for 2 minutes and then we'll start or proceed with the session, right? Awesome. It just gets me into more of a clarity. So that's the reason I'm asking. Nice to see all of you on a Sunday evening. I'm hoping that your Sunday has gone so good so far. I'm just waiting for some of the chats, right? If you guys are able to hear me properly, and also for that matter, hear me, just let me know. Hi, Chirag. Hi. Good to see you on a Sunday evening. Cool. Yeah. I guess I'm hoping that you're able to hear me properly and also see me properly. If I'm not, sorry, my bad. If I'm not loud, you can let me know. And for some reason, if there's some sort of a connectivity issues also, please let me know and put out your thoughts in the chat section so that we can try fixing that. Yeah. Awesome. Um, I guess that's about 5-4 now. So we can wait for another minute and start the session so that we can see other few people also joining in. So based on that, hey, background disturbing, ma'am. Is it okay? Cool. Awesome. Fine. Okay. So that's exactly 5-5. Very good evening. Happy Sunday, if I have to tell you in a nice way. I'm sure investing your time on a Sunday evening does become a lot more effortful because we're all in the mood to have a good weekend. So thanks for joining in for today's demo class. So today we are here to discuss, on the topics that I've selected out of this particular subject, corporate funding and listing regulations. The reason we are trying to do this demo class is that I'm sure you're aware that we have already done a live session on the corporate funding subject alone. And this was included of mostly like an overview structure of how things should be working, what a corporate funding is about, what is an overview structure, and what are the importance or for what reason the entire corporate funding subject is given to us. So we kind of have understood the background, right? So predominantly today, I've taken this two topics, which is bank guarantee and commercial paper out of this, the syllabus that you have for the corporate funding. I'm super excited. The reason being is that I have a specific reason of selecting these two topics alone is because these are those topics which is not really discussed, right? I'm sure if I just ask you out directly, what are debentures? You have a straight cut answer to me because you know debentures, you've learned debentures. I'm sure you would also in the accounts how to issue a debenture at discount, at premium, even at par, various other things like this, right? So for that matter, you also know the calculative and an accounting side to a debenture. But commercial paper is the most less talked about money market instrument. So one of the actually real fun instrument. Why am I calling this fun is because I have a very personal experience associated with commercial paper. What happened to me is that just a little bit of story before we get into a serious note of understanding the entire two topics and understanding mostly of a practical scenario. The story begins this is that so apparently there was an issuance of commercial paper happening in the current company that I'm working with. And what happened was just a little bit of like my internship was done. I was hardly like 5 or 6 months old in my job, still trying to figure out, that phase, right? I'm sure if some of you guys are already in the internship, you're already knowing that, hey, you know what? Everything seems to be new, exciting, but also a little fearful, right? It's because like everything is new. So you kind of like, like there's some sort of an hesitance involved. So it happened to me that maybe they wanted to test, I don't know. So they said, hey, you know what? We're going to issue a commercial paper. From the setup process of issuing a commercial paper to the requirements of having what to be in place to the end result of issuing a CP is your responsibility. And this is going to be your individual project, and you're not going to be dealing with anyone, or for that matter, you're not going to be taking help from anyone inside the organization that I was working. Fine. Maybe I was also excited. On the other hand, I was also nervous. So it happened to be that, I went ahead, and the process, I'm really being a friend, right? Because every time when you see certain things in a, theoretical manner, you wouldn't understand how much exactly the time is required to do it, right? So the process started somewhere in December, and we were supposed to issue a CP in January, right? So I had got a good amount of 40 days, about 45 days to set up what is required for the issuance of commercial paper. This could be, having an IPA on board, or, opening a separate account, IPA account with a bank, and having a current account in place, for that matter, even negotiating the terms. Then finally, the day when the CP was supposed to issue and the money came in, I guess the journey of 45 days was in turn very fruitful, right? Again, as I stress on, why am I telling this story to you? See, you're going to be there as professionals in the coming few months, for that matter, like half a year or a year to come, because I'm assuming that most of you are professional students. So the beauty of, having to do this from knowing nothing about a CP to be able to actually get the money to the company was a tremendous experience for me. So I'm actually hoping, so that's the reason I'm able to put more practical, experiences and scenarios to your example. So of course, when we are studying about commercial papers in depth, I'm going to be actually telling, hey, you know what, these are the glitches that I faced. We fixed it this way. So something like this. So these stories will make you actually believe and remember the topics very well, because you would remember, oh, ma'am told me that, right? Okay, so this was a fix that happened. You never know, if I might write something very practical and add to my answer, this can add value, right? So this is exactly the way you need to be thinking, right? Awesome. So with that story as a background, I'm definitely going to be explaining you what exactly happened in that 45 days whenever I'm talking about commercial paper issuances in detail. But the journey of 45 days definitely made me learn one thing, is that nothing is impossible, right? If you give, even though I was a fresher, I was given a, task of issuing a commercial paper where, even for that matter, peers or an industry professionals did not do it, because it happened to me that I went to my friends, few of my friends, normal thing that we do, right? We go to our friends, we'll ask, hey, you know what happened? Like, okay, do you know about this? Or do you have some procedures or some sort of a document involving in this? But there wasn't any, right? So from setting up from the scratch to having, an amount of so much amount of quantum being raised in the company currently today, I have had an experience for itself. So definitely worth going for it. So again, I'm stressing on you guys, if you're going to be going out as professionals, there will be a lot of expectation from you. Always try remembering any of the topics that you're reading today in a more practical manner, and connect them what's happening to the world, because that will help, you to be storing the data and actually writing the answers in the questions, like in the exams, in a very well manner, right? Awesome. So just I want to take a step back here and present my screen, right? I have a small sort of a fun, kind of a presentation for you. Just let me know if you're able to see the screen, and then we can proceed. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Sorry, my bad. So what are we learning today, right? We're learning two things. We're learning about commercial paper and bank guarantees. Okay, background light is irritating. Okay, cool. Just give me 1 second. Anyway, I've off my video, so I'm just gonna just get to a different light setting. Yeah, awesome, cool. Okay, so what are we learning today, guys? We're learning about two things: commercial paper and bank guarantees. I have a chat from you guys. Ma'am, do you trade in commercial paper? I am actually involved. If you mean to say like how I trade in stocks, I don't trade in stock like that way. I don't trade in commercial paper, but I've seen individuals, because even investors who are individuals can also invest in commercial paper. If you have good money, 5 lakh and above, please go ahead and invest in commercial paper. It's a good instrument, right? Awesome. I have been seeing a few of the chats. Awesome. Good to see you guys. Okay. Coming back to our understanding of today's session, what are we learning? Again, commercial paper and bank guarantees, right? These are the two topics. I've already told you it's the most less discussed topics. That's the reason I've taken. And if you see both of them, one is a fund-based facility, another one is a non-fund-based facility. Commercial paper is a fund-based facility. If you understand what a fund-based facility meaning, you would be knowing that there is an actual flow of money involved. For that only we call fund-based facility. Whenever there is no money or no cash flows involved, and there apparently seems to be it's just a fund sort of a facility, that's called as a non-funded facility, right? Bank guarantee is mostly like a mixture. I'll tell you how. It's both fund-based and non-fund based, though they call it non-fund based. Initially, when the bank guarantee is issued, there is no cash flows involved. But once if there is a default, there actually amounts to be a cash flow. So I would call it's a mixture of both fund and non-fund based facilities, right? Awesome. Okay. I'm sure you're able to see the screen now, right? What's this, guys? Interesting, no? So what is this? Okay. That's mentioned something like non-demand. We promise to pay at the Imperial Bank of India, Rangoon on so-and-so date for the value received, sum of so-and-so money with the interest of so-and-so at the rate of 6.5% per annum. And there's some amount which is mentioned at the top, which is called 20,000 rupees. And 16th of December, 1920, I don't know, I assume it to be 1926, but I'm not sure because it's not written very properly. And there's some few Raja sort of a stamping involved, okay? What do you understand by this? Yeah? What do you see in here? You see a sort of a promise, right? If you read it very properly, you see there is an explicit promise to pay at where? At Imperial Bank of India, Rangoon, to some person. Of course, we're not going to get into that person's name, considering it's not very clear, for the value received. And the value received is very specific. That's about sum of rupees 20,000 only, with an interest from this date at the rate of what? At the rate of 6.5% per annum. Okay. So there is a seal, if you can see, the Imperial Bank of India seal. There's another seal of another person also. I'm sure it should be a signatory seal, and a stamping which is involved. So 3 or 4 important essentials that you can see from this picture is there is a promise to pay what? To pay a sum of value of 20,000 at the rate of 6.5% income, is 6.5% per annum, which is the interest rate. and where it is supposed to be paid at Imperial Bank of India, and on the date from which date? From the date what is mentioned in that particular, like that particular promissory note, which is 16th of December, 1926. Let's assume that. And there's a stamping involved. So the essentials that we saw here is the sum being involved. There is an explicit promise to pay, and there is a date which is mentioned, and the value of money which is supposed to be paid. And in order to show that it is a right document, there is a signatures involved, and also the stamping is done, right? Awesome. I'm sure if you understand all these things that I told, you have already understood half what is promissory note. What is promissory note and commercial paper together. But of course, I'm going to explain you. Okay, so the question comes, what's this now? Okay, I've just tried explaining you, and you have understood what's this now. Before we go ahead, let me stop sharing my screen, right? Awesome. Okay. Considering you guys had a little bit of problem with my video, I will just try fixing that. Give me a Okay. So guys, is my background okay now? Are you hoping that you're not having any trouble? Yeah, Chirag, I'm going to answer your question. Why did I say promissory note? Let me just get back. No problem. I'm continue. Awesome. Good. Yeah. Super. Okay. So what do we learn by this, right? Okay. Simple way of understanding. Let me tell you. A commercial paper is that instrument, which is a money market instrument used specially to procure the short-term funds for a company. Okay. If I have to give you a little background of when this got started, this started in the year 1990 from RBI in order to, establish and expand the avenue for a corporates, especially the highly rated corporates, to raise more money in the different avenues possible from the market. Okay. I'll give you a little scenario how companies used to raise money before. They had either an option of term loans, they had an option of either to go to an OD facility, or for that matter, they could have, issued an equity and raised the money. But the options which were available for a company to raise the money were very limited in picture. That's the reason even today, if you see, RBI is striving very hard, every possible scenario for a company to be providing a company with the different avenues which is possible to raise the money. Working in a fintech or working in an NBFC industry, I can tell you, day in and day out, we always try finding, how do we raise the money? Because our business runs on raising the money. Forget even about an NBFC. Imagine, guys, you are in a company, right? And you want to run a business. I'd given some example of Rakesh or Suresh or some sweet stall guy in the last live section. The sweet stall guy wanted to run a business. He had certain capital with him in a startup world, or a technical startup jargon, which if I have to use, it's called bootstrapping, right? If I'm putting my own money for a company to start, it's called bootstrapping. And whatever the funding that I raise at a later stage from another people, either it might be angel investors or venture capitalists, or for that matter, various avenues like institutions or even bigger financial institutions for that matter, all this funding which I try using will be either equity funding or debt funding, right? Broadly categorization I'm talking about. Equity funding, I'm sure you're aware of, is when you are ready to give the ownership rights or the controlling rights in a business. Also, on the other hand, a debt funding is when you're not ready to give that ownership right. That's the reason you're ready to bear an expense of paying an interest to that person. So similar to it, Today, the two topics that I'm planning to discuss, which is bank guarantee and commercial paper, is exactly a debt funding structure. As I already told, in the debt funding, or for that, equity is not something of a non-funded and fund-based, which is very common, not so common in equity. But in debt funding, there are two categories predominantly involved, which is funded and non-funded facilities. Funded is where there is an actual cash flows which is being involved, which means to say that if I'm taking a loan from a person, that person is giving me 10,000 rupees. So actually, there is a transfer of 10,000 rupees from that person to me. That is called fund-based facilities. A non-fund-based facilities is where initially there won't be any money transferred. In the bank guarantee also, it is very similar. There won't be any money transfer. Only on a non-completion of certain conditions itself, there will be a fund facilities or a actual cash flow which gets involved. So with this as a background, let's get into commercial papers. Now, the picture that you saw, what did you see? Of course, as I explained you, there's a demand, there is a promise, and the promise is to pay a 20,000 rupees at 6.5% interest on certain date with a stamping, sign, and seal involved. These are the characteristics. You have already understood the characteristics of promissory note. Now, you should be confused. Ma'am, we were supposed to discuss about commercial paper. Why are we even talking about promissory note? See, this is where the fun factor is involved. So in order to issue a commercial paper, the way through which I issue a commercial paper is through the way of promissory note. Okay. So I'll give you a simple example. Try connecting with debentures. So a debentures, if you issue, you will issue a debenture certificate, right? Which talks about the number of debentures being allotted, what is the amount being raised, what's the interest which is payable, and what is an investment name, what is the serial number of that particular debenture holder, everything. So similarly, the way I promise to pay my commercial paper investor that I am going to be paying so and so much money, and I've raised so and so much money from you, and on this date, I will pay this particular money at this percentage of interest. And at this particular day itself is a promissory note. So if I have to very simply tell you, the way of issuing a commercial paper will be via promissory note issuance. Okay, awesome. So coming back to commercial paper issuance, a simple structure is, as I already told you, it is a short funded facility. So for that matter, why it's called a short funded facility is because the tenor through which a commercial paper which can be issued is max to max minimum of 7 days to max of 1 year. So the maturity period of your commercial paper cannot be more than 1 year. So if you understand by this, it definitely can be used only for what? For a short-term purpose and for a working capital alone. Again, as I said, it's a different avenues which gets involved. Every day, being in a finance sector, being in a financial sector, we are always trying to raise more money is because our business requires it. See, guys, again, I'm stressing on this could be small corporate, this could be big corporate. Everyone requires money, and these are the avenues to raise the funds. So now we have understood the meaning of a commercial paper. A commercial paper is a money market instrument. By the way it is issued in the form of a promissory note, there is an explicit promise to pay certain money after a certain period of time. And the minimum period of maturity will be 7 days to the maximum not exceeding 1 year. So overall, we have understood a little bit of what a commercial paper looks like, right? Now, let's understand how the process of commercial paper works and who are the parties who are involved. The first party who gets involved is the person who's issuing a commercial paper. Is that right? Correct, no? So I've been talking like bank requires money, corporates requires money, so many other people requires money. So whosoever is wanting the money will become an issuer. And predominantly, as per RBI guidelines, this could be highly rated corporates. for that matter, primary dealers, and even certain financial institutions who can issue the commercial paper. So only the eligible issuers are authorized to issue the commercial paper, not every body corporate. So again, the precondition for a corporate to issue a commercial paper is the rating involved. So minus A2 is the rating, which is prescribed by RBI. So if you don't have that rating, you're not eligible to issue a commercial paper. So now that we have understood who is required to issue a commercial paper, let's understand who is allowed to invest, right? If I have to tell you, most of the people are allowed to invest. Institutions, individuals, for that matter, even mutual fund agencies, various, even for the small corporates, everyone, except there is a catch, except there is this one person who is not required to invest in a commercial paper. Guys, please take a note of this, is the related party, right? A people who are related party to your company are not supposed to invest in your commercial papers. Okay. So these are the issuers, these are the investors. Who is the middle person? The middle person is an IPA. So IPA is whom? Is when we will study in a slide of us. So just 1 second. I'll share my screen again. Right? Awesome. Okay. So parties involved. Issuer. Okay. We have already studied about this. Who are this issuer? Highly rated people who have a minimum of minus A2 rating. Either could be from CRISIL or for that matter, any other, explicit rating agency, which is already told by RBI as per the RBI guidelines. But even CARE is also one of the reputed rating agency. So even ICRA, IRR, so many rating agencies are there. So whosoever is recognized by the RBI, only from them you are supposed to have the rating done. And it could be even, as I already told, financial institutions, or for that matter, even primary dealers, right? Awesome. So, okay, who is this person who's a middle person? Okay, this is an IPA. What do we understand by IPA, guys? I've already spoken about investors and issuers. I was about to speak about an IPA, right? IPAs are those people who are very similar to a debenture trustee. Okay. So a debenture trustee is someone who takes care of the entire issuance of a secured debentures, right? Is a person who tries protecting the interest of an investor. Similar to it, IPA is also someone who acts like a debenture trustee in the issuance of commercial paper. Then comes, last but not the least, the investor. So I'm sure you've already discussed about an investor. Most of them can invest except for a related party to your company, right? So who are the three parties involved? It's the issuer, it's the IPA, and it's the investors. Now, let's understand the CP issuance process flow. Cool. It looks like not so fancy image for what we saw in the last slide. But let me tell you, this process flow kind of just gives an entire overview in a practical way how a CP issuance process involves. So very simple, guys. Issuer is a person who is a body corporate, concludes a deal with an investor. So which means to say, let's assume there is an issuer A and there is an investor B. So they kind of determine the terms at what price, at what interest, and what are the different other association of terms which is getting involved in the CP issuance process. And then they'll have a sheet called term sheet ready with them, and they will conclude on the terms by signing the term sheet. So that's the first process. Okay. Next is the ISIN, which gets created. So there are predominantly people who would want the issuance of CP to be only in DMAT form. And even RBI prescribes, this could be for primary dealers, banks, and financial institutions. They're only supposed to issue a CP in a DMAT form, right? So for them, ISIN is the specific security identification number which gets created for that CP issuance. Okay. Then stamp duty on the promissory note is paid. Okay. As I already told you, we issue a CP in the way of a promissory note. Like how you pay stamp charges on a debenture certificate, you will pay similar charges to it on a promissory note and then get everything ready. So now we have concluded with the terms. We have created ISIN for that issuance. We have paid the stamp duty on the promissory note. Then we finally get all the documents that are signed, not much of it, except for the deal confirmation note and other IPA documents. We will send this to an IPA. So similar to how debenture trustee is the one who takes care of an entire transaction, in a similar way, issuer, we being A, we will send a transaction documents to an IPA, and IPA will check and verify. So the job of an IPA is to verify the documents and give out a certificate called as an IPA certificate to whom? To two people, which is NSDL and also, or NSDL or CDSL. This could be any depository. Sorry that I've only mentioned about NSDL. So it could be either NSDL or it could be the CDSL for, crediting that amount of commercial papers in the investor's account. And also on the other hand, in order to intimate RBI on the issuance of CP. Guys, again, I'm stressing on every commercial paper issuance have to be intimated to RBI, because RBI is that body which regulates the issuance of commercial paper issuance. Hence, IPA responsibility becomes two. One is to get the CPs credited to the investor's account, either through NSDL or CDSL, and also to inform RBI within 3 working days that a CP process or a CP issuance process has been completed, right? Then issuer has to send an NSDL a corporate action. Corporate action is what? It's a kind of a document which talks about, hey boss, we have issued a commercial paper and we have got so much money from the investor. Please fund their respective, demat accounts with so many CPs, or for that matter, even debentures, if you already know about debentures. So overall, guys, this is how the process flow of a CP involves. In a simple understanding, issuer goes to the investor, finalizes the deal, then creates an ISIN. And if they're specific about having to issue it in the demat form, that's when only the ISIN gets created. Then stamp duty on the promissory note is being paid. Finally, all transaction documents are being shared to an IPA. IPA is that one person who takes care of an entire transaction, verifies the document, give a certificate that every document submitted to it is proper, then inform RBI within 3 working days about the issuance process, and also inform an issuer and give them an issuer a certificate, and further issuer go to NSDL or CDSL and ask the agency to credit that respective CPs in the account. So that's most of it. Sorry, my bad. I will stop sharing the screen. And here we are, back to our video. Okay. I'm hoping you've kind of got a little bit of all idea how everything works. In order to summarize things for you, let me tell you, a commercial paper is a simple money market instrument which is used especially by a body corporates to raise short-term funds, because the tenor of a commercial paper cannot go beyond what? Cannot go beyond more than 1 year. So which means to say, if I'm issuing a commercial paper, I will have to pay it back max by 1 year, right? So hence, the kind of funding which gets used or the kind of utilization which happens because of this particular funding will only be short-term funds, right? Awesome. And the second thing which gets involved in the commercial paper will be that because it satisfies the short-term requirements of a company, it is very useful for a company and adds a lot of advantages, is because it does not ask a security, which means to say, how like debentures, there is some sort of a security that you need to be giving. Either it could be by the way of fixed asset, book debts, and various things. collateral securities, not asked about commercial paper. Then for an investor, what is an advantage of a commercial paper is that investor will be able to issue or like invest in the commercial paper in the more easiest manner is because already it is issued by a body corporate which is highly rated. Guys, again, I'm stressing on a companies which is highly rated, have a very good reputation in the market, and they won't default on paying you the money. But one of the important things that you need to be remembering about a commercial paper is a commercial paper is issued always at discount and paid at full. So like how debentures, so it is issued at par or issued at premium. This is up to your advantage. But commercial paper does not act in that way, which means to say that let's take an example. You are planning to have a 10 lakh worth of commercial paper issuance. So a discount of some percentage based on whatever has been a kind of a condition which is agreed between an investor and the issuer, you will only get about 9.85 lakhs amount of money in your account. And when you're paying back to them, you will have to pay back 10 lakh to them. So which means to say it is always issued at discount and paid at par. So whatever the money that is earned as a difference earned by them will be the investor's earnings. And whatever the money that I am going to be bearing as a cost as an issuer will be the difference between the issuance price and the paying price at the end of the day to an investor. So that's all, guys. In order to have a recap, a commercial paper is a simple money market instrument where you raise the short-term funds from a market, especially from individuals, various other people who are eligible from the to invest in the commercial paper. And company raises the money because it has a good rating and there is no security which gets involved, and not so complicated like debentures is because you need not have to provide any security. So that's a little bit about how a commercial paper gets issued. The way I have already discussed is it gets issued by the way of promissory note, not in any other way, right? Awesome. I see a lot of chats. Sorry, my bad. Give me 1 second. Ma'am, your voice is not audible. It is, okay. Okay. Cool. Let me just increase the volume. It's at the highest, guys. Sorry, I guess there could be some voices in the background, which probably would involve a little vehicles running here and there. Otherwise, I'm hoping that everything is fine. Okay, awesome. Cool. What we saw here, guys, a simple commercial paper issuance involves three parties: an issuer who goes to an investor, asks that, hey, what would you like to invest in the commercial paper issuance of us? They finalize the term and they go to an IPA to talk about, hey, we want someone to involve in this transaction, intimate an RBI because regulation wants it. And IPA is that one person who takes care entirely of all the documents and intimate the RBI and takes the interest of whom? Takes the interest of an investor. So simply to put up, it's a simple short-term funded based instrument, which is an avenue for individuals, which is an avenue for big corporates to raise the money and for individuals to invest in the money market instrument. Awesome. So that's a little bit about commercial paper. As I've already told you, it's a simple promise to pay certain sum of money at at par because it is issued at discount after a certain period of time. And the maturity period will be minimum of 7 days to not more than 1 year, which is the maximum period. Cool. Now, I will just stop my video and share the screen again. Okay. And we will go to our parties involved. We discussed about this. We discussed about this. We discussed about this. Okay. Cool. Bank guarantee. Okay. So what do we understand by bank guarantee? A simple or a easiest manner, if I have to put your bank guarantee as A bank guarantee is a non-funded facility because there is an initial period of time. Again, I'm stressing on there is no actual money flow which is involved. And then how does this work, guys? The question comes like this, right? What do you see in the picture? You see there is an applicant who's a seller, or it could be a seller also. There's a beneficiary and there is a bank. What happens here is there's something called a contractor or a purchase order and even a guarantee application, guarantees. Okay, I'm sure it's very confusing, right? Let me simplify this for you. Imagine there is an applicant who's there in our image as well, and he wants to have a order. Like, let's assume that he wants to issue maybe, how do I say, he want to purchase or he want to do a contract of about 10 lakh amount and take a beneficiary, like, sorry guys, just 1 second. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, there's a connectivity issue at my end. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, there was some connectivity issue at my end. So assume that there is an applicant or a beneficiary and a bank which is involved. Okay. Let's not even go by what is happening in this particular picture. I'm going to give you a simple example. Imagine that I am an applicant of a bank guarantee, and I go to a bank and say that, bank, I want a guarantee by you for a worth amount of 50 lakhs. And bank will ask, boss, why would I give you a guarantee worth amount of 50 lakhs? For what are you going to use it? Then it will say that, sir, I am actually bidding for one of the works with a government agency. And the government agency is asking me to deposit some money because it wants surety that will I be able to do that transaction or not. So which means to say that will I be able to perform that or not also, in order to even for me to bid in that particular bidding process, they want some sort of a guarantee. By whom? By someone who's reputed in the market. So the person who's reputed in the market will be the bank guys here. Okay. So an applicant goes with a guarantee application and approaches the bank, and bank asks a question that, boss, why do you want it? Then applicant explained that I would want this particular thing in order to bid for one of the contracts. Maybe it could be infrastructure contracts or to lay a road, and government is asking for it. Then bank says, fine, you are a valued customer of mine. I'm ready to give you a bank guarantee. But for that, I'm going to charge some amount. Okay. Because no one does anything for free, right? So what it does is it's going to charge an amount which is called commission. Okay. So this commission ranges about from 0.5% to about 1%, 1.5% also in some of the cases on the contract value. So the contract value could be the amount of guarantee, which is 50 lakhs of that. So applicant is like, okay, sir, let's agree on to 0.75 based on various factors. The bank will determine this. And now, sir, will you be able to issue me a bank guarantee? Then bank will say, yes, I'll be able to issue a bank guarantee. Then he will get a bank guarantee and start the bidding process and show to a government agency that, sir, I am fulfilling the rating and also the kind of a requirement, especially the credit requirement of you to have a bank guarantee. Then government, of course, if it selects, it will select that particular person. Then the contract is given. When bank guarantee will again come into picture is if this applicant does all the work which has been given to him, then bank guarantee will never be invoked, guys. Okay. Bank guarantee never gets invoked. But imagine if this applicant, does not perform a contract, then bank is a person who has promised, whom bank has promised in that guarantee that in case of non-performance of the contract by an applicant, I will pay a government agency so much sum of 50 lakhs rupees. So now applicant has failed to do it. The only option that is left with the bank is to pay that particular government agency. So why a bank guarantee is required by government agencies? Because if in case someone defaults at the end of an applicant, it will always be secured. But for a bank, what is he getting out of it? He's getting commission. For an applicant, what is he getting? In order to even bid, he would be requiring a bank guarantee. Again, as I stressed before, there won't be any money or a cash flow which is involved at an initial stage. Only in case if an applicant is not able to perform for what he has promised, then only bank guarantee gets invoked or comes into picture. Otherwise, imagine in a good scenario, applicants take a bank guarantee, he will give it to a government agency, and if everything goes well and he performs a contract, bank will just extinguish that and entirely cancel that bank contract and say, boss, it was amazing doing a business with you, and we can also do this at a later stage if at all when you require this. So if you see the entire arrangement, you would be wondering why even a bank guarantee is required, ma'am. I would say, see, for a government or a bigger corporate who's giving a funding or who's giving that particular project, they want some sort of a surety from that person. For someone who is an applicant, he wants to do more business. For that, he is going to a bank and doing it. And bank, even without doing anything, just by providing surety, they are earning commission. So it's a win-win for all three of them. Now, you would wonder how many types of bank guarantees are there, ma'am, and what are the scenarios this gets used? Predominantly, there is performance guarantee and financial guarantee. What we discuss now is a performance guarantee because there is an explicit promise to do a particular transaction within particular period of time, which is given to a government agency. A financial guarantee is a little opposite of it. Instead of doing some work, there is an agreement to pay some particular money to another person. In case if there is a default by an applicant to pay that money, then bank will have to pay the money. So which means in case of a performance guarantee, when a bank guarantee gets invoked, only when there is non-performance of that particular work. In case of a financial guarantee, when a bank guarantee gets invoked, whenever there is a non-payment of financial obligations mentioned in the bank guarantee. So, of course, we have a lot in-depth, kind of a structure under performance guarantee and financial guarantee alone. But that's again mostly on a business to business, purposes. But this is exactly how differentiated is performance guarantee and financial guarantee. Now, let's go to just 1 second, guys. Sorry, my bad. Okay. Cool. So what you saw in the bank guarantee, it's a non-funded based facility because at an initial stage, applicant just goes and asks the bank, boss, I would want a guarantee because I'm going for a financial bidding, or I have to give some sort of assurances to someone who has a good standing in the market. And because you are that one person whom I know who has a good financial standing in the, in the world or in the society, please can you be my surety? Then bank will say, okay, I can be your surety, but I will charge some amount of money to you, which is called as commission, which is a percentage of income, a percentage of that particular contract. Then applicant agrees and bank also agrees and kind of try finding out a middle ground between what is a percentage which will be charged. And then the applicant goes and produces this particular, could be performance or financial guarantee to the person who has asked for it. Then the person who has asked for this will get, okay, if something happens, right, at least I'm not, losing any money, bank is paying me. So it is a security that it will get and then give the work to that particular person or otherwise give the money to that particular person in case of a financial obligations, right? Now, if you have understood all these structure, why would someone want a bank guarantee will be the question. Is because a person would be requiring a bank guarantee only to secure itself from any financial losses. So hence it is a non-funded facility, because at an initial stages, there will not be any fund flow. Only in case of a non-performance of either that particular, work which is supposed to be done, or the money which is supposed to be paid, then only it gets invoked. And if it gets invoked, then the money are supposed to be paid by bank to whom? To a beneficiary. Guys, again, that's the reason I told you it's a mixture of both funded and non-funded facility, because at an initial phase stage, it will act as a non-funded facility. But whenever there is a default, it will act as a fund-based facility, because it involves a money flow from whom? From a bank to a beneficiary. So that's an overview structure of how a bank guarantee works, and what is a financial guarantee and what is a performance guarantee. You would have a little bit of a question, how different is the bank guarantee from a letter of credit? The only two differences I can mention is bank guarantees are mostly used with government agencies, bigger corporates who's requiring to give bigger projects to people and who does not have enough, bandwidth to check each people who has bidded for that particular contract. Hence, the guarantee will act like, hey, you know what, super, someone is going to help us and someone is going to be a surety for this particular transaction. So that's one. In case of a letter of credit, it is mostly used in an import-export, kind of scenario, because it's like a credit given by a bank to pay a certain sum of money to another person in case of performance of a contract. So here, bank guarantee gets invoked only in case of a non-performance. Promissory note, sorry, not promissory note, my bad. Letter of credit will be applicable or will become enforceable only in case of a performance of the conditions. Here, non-performance, here, performance. That's the slightest of the difference between a letter of credit and a bank guarantee. So that's a little bit of an explanation. I'm sure by now you've kind of understood what a fund-based facilities are, what a non-fund-based facilities are. If you have any questions, sorry, I've not been able to see any of the chats. If you have any questions, sorry, please shoot out. Okay. What will be done if one is not able to pay the amount within the maturity date? As I told, it gets invoked. If someone is not payable in case of a financial guarantee, if I have taken money and my bank has given a guarantee to me, and I am going and actually trying to ask, I'm not able to pay to my, beneficiary. Let's assume that I've taken a loan from B and I'm not able to pay him. In that case, my bank has to pay because it has a good standing and it will pay. Then the commission charged by the bank will be an initial stage or later? No. It will be at an initial stage. Okay? Because that's how the bank earns money. I'm telling you guys, I've seen sanction letters of various banks. Banks earn money for each things. They earn for documentation charges. They even charge for the slightest of the slightest things. Why do you think they're paying you interest on your savings account? This is how they are earning in the business. Cool. Awesome. Your teaching style is awesome. Thank you. How long did you take to complete CS? Okay. To be frank, that's about just 2.5 years. Yeah. From foundation. I'm a first attempt pass, guys. So that's actually one of the reasons that I've been able to clear it soon. I completed with my graduation, actually. Letter of credit, can you explain again? As I said, letter of credit is a simple thing, guys. It's very similar to a bank guarantee, but used only in case of an import-export procedures. Because imagine that I am trying to import some sort of a goods, and there is another person who is in Australia. See, he's sitting in Australia and he's not very sure that if I'll be able to pay him money for the goods that he has sent me, right? Because I'm importing goods from him, no? So he would want someone who's reputed in the industry or reputed in the Society of India, who's a banker, to give a guarantee or to give a sort of a credit, sort of a backing that in case of non-payment, I will pay the money. So letter of credit is a simple letter where the bank acknowledges that on conditions of import being made to me or to a particular client, we will pay the money at certain date and at certain price. So this is a guarantee, or even for that matter, a kind of a promise made by a bank. So this happens again, as I told you, it only happens in an import-export procedure. Bank guarantee is used for various purposes. To be frank, I have done bank guarantees for even securitization transaction, credit enhancement, for so many things. But again, it depends on the structure. But letter of credit is just a promise made by a bank. On fulfillment of the conditions, I will pay the money to another person. But bank guarantee be applicable in case if there is a fulfillment of the conditions mentioned in the contract, right? That's the slightest of the differences. Okay. Okay, which company do I work? I work with a fintech startup based out in Bangalore. It's an NBFC. So yeah, I work, if you want the name, I work with Capital Float. So we're based out in Bangalore, right? Awesome. So I'm hoping that you guys were able to at least understand what a commercial paper is, what a bank guarantee is. The slightest of the differences I already told you is a simple understanding is here in case of a commercial paper, there's an actual money which gets involved, like which means if I'm issuing a commercial paper, I'll issue a discount, and based on that, there will be a sort of how do I say, after some months or maybe max of 1 year, I will pay the money back at par. But in case of a guarantee or a letter of credit, there won't be any money which gets involved at an initial stage. Only in case of a performance or non-performance based on the different conditions, only on invoking of a guarantee, that's when the money flow will involve. The reason why bank guarantees are mostly used in the market is because, especially a bigger corporates or a bigger agencies like government would want a surety from someone who is good enough in the market. I'm sure you would also have a thing, right? You've come across in your life scenario also that why would someone want a surety is because they just want to know that, okay, this person is able to do things or he's eligible to do things, something like that. Otherwise, that's all, guys. That's the reason bank guarantees are used for. But commercial paper is yet another avenue. As I told you, I've had an amazing time working for commercial paper because my job did not only involve just issuing a commercial paper. I literally had to set up an IPA account. I had to negotiate terms. Finally, when the IPA was set up, account was set up, we went ahead, we negotiated from negotiating to the, terms to getting the fund process, everything I've done. So it was a process of 45 days, but I guess my company has been doing commercial papers so much now, but that's how the process ran, right? Awesome. Okay. Cool. Well, that's about it. Sorry, my bad. If you have any questions, start putting out in the chat section. If you've liked the videos, hit the like button. And, even for the future things, you can also comment what you felt about this video. And as I already told you, if you are CS professional students, join the classes because I'll tell you what my experience in the funding industry has been, is been like a very first-hand experience, if I have to tell you, because day in and day out, I've done equity funding, I've done debt funding. I predominantly work with debt restructuring or structuring of the debt transactions now. So I've handled securitization to debentures to commercial papers, you name it, and I've done that sort of a debt funding. In case of an equity funding, been involved and been a part of due diligence process many times. So that's again a good understanding that I've got through. So it's going to be amazing subject, guys. When you go, and I'm telling you as a person who has done funding myself, this is an amazing area to work in because every day is a challenging day. Because the kind of questions that I get asked in my profession or in my work is that, hey, you know what, we want to do this. What do you think? Try structuring a deal for us or try structuring an entire transaction for us. So I've been trying to do that and I have done it mostly. So every day is becoming competitive for me. Hey, you know what? I'm planning to do this. Okay, how about we do this? How about we do that? So that sort of a thing is there. So there's every day a zeal to do more. So it's an amazing practice. If by any chance you get a experience or a kind of an opportunity to get into a funding zone, please get into, because over in the next 5 or 10 years to come, every new startup would require funding and every startup would require company secretaries. So with that as a background, I am trying to just planning to end this particular thing. Okay, so ma'am, please explain problems in commercial paper and working capital. Okay, I'll tell you what, commercial paper, one of the biggest problem with commercial paper is IPA being involved. Guys, though they're similar to debenture trustees, IPS are very regulated. They're highly regulated by RBI. So even if they miss out on smallest of the smallest things, they're responsible for various things. Hence, IPS will make sure that your documents so crystal clear that they won't even allow you to do any simple mistake. So having to fund commercial paper or get the instrument, get the funding properly on time before 11 a.m. on the date of transaction, then closing and allotting before 3 p.m. in that particular same day. Everything is time bound. So that's the problems associated with commercial paper. But again, as I said, that you get used to it. One good thing is IPA will always take care of both issuer and investor here. So they will guide you in every process. What can be an average salary for a fresher? Well, how do I put it? Yeah. See, I'll tell you what, it depends entirely on the caliber of yours. I've seen freshers getting like really good sum and ample sum of money just by starting out, right? It depends. One of the kind of feedback, or maybe you can take it as a feedback from me, is that try joining a growing company. That's from me, who's working in a startup. Because I've seen a lot of people, especially my friends or peers that I have, they're always inclined towards listed companies. I'm not saying that you should not join listed company. They're always very inclined towards having to join a big corporations or an MNC and everything. But guys, again, I tell you, right, or if you join big companies, you won't be able to experience everything, right? Imagine if I have to tell about my experience only from just starting out as an intern and in the secretarial team to doing compliances, getting into compliance role, then getting into structuring role, getting into what I'm doing today is a wide gamut of experiences I've done for myself. So today, if I see back and see the experiences I've got through, is something that is super cool for someone if I have to pitch in front of anyone. So I've not done, of course I've done usual stuff like board meetings, other things and all of that. But what is in value addition that I'm adding is I have definitely a lot of points to say. So one, feedback for you guys, or one, maybe an advice for you guys, is start joining growing companies, though it looks small and everything, because you will become very important in that organization if you start showing that you have caliber and capability, right? Awesome. Funding is the future, definitely, guys. I'm telling you, my experiences with funding has been that I've done due diligences every 4 months on an average. If you see, 4 to 5 months on an average. So that's about 3 times a year. I've done that. So I know every time company is striving either to get equity funding, either to get debt funding. So it's the future, definitely. Because even smallest of the small, I got a message, like I'll be getting messages from my friends. Hey, you know what, Impana, we are planning to just start this new venture out. So, what do you think? We are trying to incorporate. Do you think partnership is good? Company is good? Then how do we raise the fund? There was an institutional investor. There's someone who's an NRI. He wants to bring in money. Can we bring in? So many questions. So there's so much value addition that you can add. So definitely funding is a future. Okay. Hey, I'm sorry. Nothing specific. Well, I would say never agree something less than, if I have to say for a starter, don't agree below 35, I guess. That's something that I'll tell you, because always keep your standards up. Because I'll tell you what, there's never a thing that, we have to compromise, because in order to be CS, I know how much we are going through and I know how much you are going through. So never undersell yourself. I keep telling it to my peers. They're little irritated with me about the same thing, is that no, you have like so much things. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And all of that. But I often say, hey, you know what? Say what you're contributing. Say that, sir, this is the value additions that I'm going to be adding. These are the structures that I'm planning to put in. Have the confidence, I guess. Don't agree below 35. That's what I can say. I'm sure a lot of people are offering, there are times I've seen a lot of people are offering less, but don't agree something like of that sort. But again, it's just my feedback. It's up to you guys. Depends on the city also you're working in. If you're working in a very small tier cities, you can even survive with a lesser amount, but have a standard, because that's going to help you in the next 5 years, 10 years career growth of yours. Because if you start very less, it'll have an impact in your career growth, right? Awesome. No, you can't do a job and a practice at the same time. That's not possible. But what you can do is you can definitely do, if you're interested in practice, you can do a lot of consulting work side by side. But if you're also in a job, maybe you can just help few people around. Definitely cannot take up double employment. That's violative of principles of ICSA standards or ICSA guidelines. You can actually be thrown out, or they can actually remove your practice number also. So yeah, that's pretty much it, because I teach secretarial audit also, right? So I know one of the things is that you cannot have double employments. There are people I know, or I've seen people here, I've heard myself that, hey, you know what, you work in this, you work in that, will give you so much money. Never agree to such things, guys. You have worked so much hard for that membership number. Never lose it because of a silly extra 10,000, 15,000 money. You can definitely make outside also, can give consultancy, can provide some sort of an advisors, can earn money like that, but never get into anything like both practice and job. That's not acceptable, right? Ramesh has said, I've joined your class already. Awesome, Ramesh. Good to hear that. Guys, whosoever have not joined, please join the classes. One thing I can tell you is it's going to be an experience in itself, because when I remember when I was doing my CS professional, or for that matter, entire CS as whole, the kind of classes which we had, I'll tell you what, I had to come to Bangalore. So I basically hail from Mysore. So I had to come to Bangalore, struggle in between my graduation, try finding the classes, had had to do a lot of things just to get the professional classes, coaching for my professional study. So you're getting all these in just a click away. So don't base that. It might be my class, or it might be for that matter, any Ekcel Academy classes, whichever the subjects that you're writing. Try take the best advantage of the faculty who's been put to your subject, and ask the questions. I'm very happy that I'm hearing a lot of questions from you guys. It's good to see, it's good to see that you're very interested in wanting to be a part of this profession. That's an amazing thing to see. Because if I have to tell you, I'll tell you my experience. I'm a professional. Like, I completed my graduation and CS together. Even before I was actually writing my third year of graduation exam, I was almost done with two groups of my professional, and there was just left with only one group. So I remember that feeling. Of course, I started out as young, but this has a lot to offer. You just have to know where to choose and where does your interest lie. So before that, for that, you have to finish your exams, right? So make sure that you do it with the flying colors. Awesome. What- What's your salary now? No, I'm sure it's something that I cannot be opening up in front of everyone. It's a little confidential, but I'm sure I'll tell you, if you are good, you will definitely get a handsome money. Yeah. Awesome. No, that's fine. Yeah. I'm not taking it, but I have certain clauses. I won't be able to disclose it because of course, we work in a corporate. We can't be disclosing that to everyone. So I have certain restrictive clauses. But as I told, you should just have that thing, and I'm sure you will earn a good, handsome money. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm also very, peculiar in terms of having to, and that's the reason actually I also wanted to clear my CS very soon, is because I wanted to, get into corporate, earn some good money. My internship was this, that I wanted to show. So I get where you're coming from. It's okay. Cool. Awesome. It's been an amazing experience. Cool. Awesome. If any of you guys want to have questions, I'm just going to keep the chat open for another 2 minutes. It's 6:12. So I'm just going to end it by 6:14 or 15. If you have anything, please just let me know. Or otherwise, we're super good and we'll close this session. It was definitely fun. Sorry, in the last previous sessions, have not been able to take most of your questions because technical glitches. Sorry, I'm extremely, it was an unpleasant experience for me as well. But yeah, I guess that's about it. It's all about the technical aspects. You just have to find a way out in terms of figuring it. So that's fine. That's okay. Ma'am, is CSEET very tough? I don't think so. Actually, it's kind of the syllabus has been evolved a lot, so you definitely have to go in a better manner. It's definitely, I guess, the percentage of CSET people passing has been really nice. So you can definitely go ahead and actually take it if you have not taken, or if any of your friends wanted to take it. But that's about it, guys. No, it is not. It's not difficult. Yeah, with the right approach, you can. But I remember my experience towards foundation at that time. It used to we called as foundation, and my batch was the first batch who had this. I guess first or second batch who had this computer-based answering or anything. Oh God, that was real fun. Like no one knew anything what we were doing. We weren't even given. So we just went ahead, and yeah, it was a good experience. CACT is definitely a good. How to score good marks in this paper? Associate yourself mostly with market, because day in and day out you hear about funding. This company raised so much money in the series this and the series that. That's one, because always, even if you're a little bit interested about news or in terms of a funding experiences and everything, one thing, sorry, my guys, yeah. One thing you guys can be knowing is that adding a lot of practical, examples will fetch you good marks. That's one. Second thing is, be very conceptually clear. Never be confused with your concepts. I've heard, for that matter, I'll tell you what, my personal experiences, even with my, peers whom I used to study at that time, was that, to be frank, my friends had so much of knowledge or an information about a topic, but when they used to put it in the writing, they had a problem, is because the way they put it in the writing used to be really clustered. Okay. So in one of the things that I would like to say you is, whenever you're writing the answers, you got to be crystal clear. Only write what is asked. Don't overdo it. Right. If you're asked about commercial paper and the features involved to it, or the parties who's involved to it, say what's commercial paper meaning, probably give an example or so, then just write parties who's involved, or maybe a line about that parties, and finish it off, right? And that is how much you have to be, because you have so many questions that you need to be writing. Never take it for granted. Always write specific answers, and try adding in your, something which is happening in the real world as an examples. And also be always write those answers, like, always answer the questions which you're very clear about, because it's all about impressing, guys. Again, I'm telling you, stressing to you, is that first 10 pages looks awesome, that person is super impressed, you'll be like, hey, you know what, okay, there's no hassle for me to correct this paper. And on an average, I'm telling you, people have only 15 to 20 minutes to correct your paper. So just make sure that 5 minutes or 10 minutes you impress that evaluator. So give a good content. That's third. And last but not the least, have notes. Have a very short notes for each of the topics. Like, I'll tell you what, and that entire 15 or 20 pages topics, or like, entire chapter, I used to make to a page of 2 or 3. So even before a day of revision, or whenever I want to revise 2 or 3 pages, I'm done. So have notes, write good content, be clear when you're writing, and try adding, practical examples. All that is definitely a suggestions that I want to give to score good marks, right? Okay. It means 60 and above, for sure. 60 and above is something you can definitely get. How much Typhoon should I expect during articleship in a good corporate company? Again, it depends on the tiered cities, wherever the cities that you're working in. Tier 1, like a top, like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Gurgaon, or Hyderabad, all good cities. You can definitely expect somewhere from 10,000 even to, I've actually seen my friends or some people only getting about 25,000. So definitely from 10,000 and above. Yeah. Cool. Worked for an IPO, ma'am. If yes, share your experience. Um, I'll tell you what, IPO haven't been really associated very personally, but I've had my friends, and because a lot of my friends are into consulting, I've had the very in like a close experience with an IPO. But I've got my debentures listed. So that's one of the things, because getting your debentures listed is also one of the biggest hurdles, because it's very similar to an IPO. That's the experience that I've had. But in terms of coming to an IPO, what are the experiences that is associated? I will have been associated is, one is that you should have a lot of background information about your company. I'm telling you guys, do a due diligence. You'll get to know every inch about your company. So first, you have to, we are supposed to be involved in due diligence, which the data of last 8 to 10 years data are asked. Predominantly last 3 years data is mostly sought out. Then coordinating with SEBI, coordinating with various agencies, everything gets involved. Last but not the least, I guess one of the other things that I've learned about an IPO, or something that I've have had a first-hand experience with an IPO experience, sorry, with the IPO process, is that uh, every record which is not put in a right place by any of the previous people who have worked in your company, it's going to be super troubling for you. But if you follow certain things in a right manner, definitely you can be answerable. But yeah, that's one of the things, because even somewhere I had an experience with this, is that whenever your peers or the people who have worked before you have not really done their job pretty okay, will actually can be a little troublesome for you. So yeah, from the time, if you have any slightest of the idea that a company that you're going to has an IPO, start getting your docs ready, right? Keep your docs up to date. Okay, awesome. How to score 60 plus marks in this paper and how to prepare for this exam. I guess I've kind of covered it before. There are things that, you have to have a very practical approach, get more of a clarity-based understanding, never confuse yourself, and prepare notes. That's very important. So that's one of the things that you need to be having an understanding about. Preparing notes of that 15 or 20 pages into that 2 or 3 pages, getting all that content in the 2 or 3 pages becomes really important and critical. Have almost about 3 times, like, how do I put it, even like, yeah, like 3 to 4 revisions before your exams. That's very important. Cool. Awesome. Funding, self-study, possible to score 60 plus. Okay, I'll tell you something about funding subject, okay? A lot of subjects I have seen, definitely, if you are capable enough, you can go ahead and do a self-study. But funding subject is something that a lot of perspective from a person who has been experiencing it can add value to. Like, I'll tell you what, if you are going to ask me about debt funding, how things work, what are the nonsenses which has happened, I will have stories to tell you, because I've experienced it. So a funding does come with a lot of experience. I'm sure you could be something more theoretically sound in order to understand that. But having to study from a person who have gone through it could be a lot useful. But definitely, if you want to go ahead and do a self-study, you can. A tip for it could be something that try connecting your self-study materials with what's happening in the practical scenarios. That can add as an advantage to you, right? Awesome. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. When did you start regular online classes of corporate funding and this thing, please, as early as possible. We're starting from next week. So that's the reason we planned on doing a demo class today. So we're just starting from next week. You can join in if you have not joined. You can definitely join in for the classes. If you have joined, super happy to see you. We'll be seeing you from maybe Tuesday, or I don't know the schedule. I'm yet to get the schedule. So yeah, I guess next week is where we are starting, right? Awesome. Cool, guys. It was amazing to see all of you, because like it's a Sunday evening and all of you have been really patient enough to join this. And thank you, right? Thank you. We'll do more live sessions. Let me know if it was amazing to chat with all of you guys and have a conversation. Put out your thoughts in the comment section. If you have not understood anything, let us know and join in for the classes. It's going to be an experience in itself. I've been already telling you, because it is coming from a person who's already experienced this. This could be my class or someone who's doing any other subject in the Ekcel Academy. We're all experienced people in the subject that we are taking up. We're just not blabbering out things. We've done it, all the things that we are doing it day in and day out. So it's going to be a lot more advantageous for you as students to be listening to us, right? Awesome. I guess if I'm for a qualified CA who has an experience in security market, it's possible to get good marks. Self-study se ho sakta hai, or as per you. See, I'll tell you what. Security market, I'm sure you would be wondering that, okay, you know a lot of things in the security market, but I've been working with capital markets. I understand where you're coming from. Funding, maybe a few of the topics could be useful, but few of the topics are very technical. So if you're planning to have a self-study, concentrate on the very technical points. That's an advice that I can give you, because considering you're aware of the security markets topics, there are technical topics like listing regulations, various other things which requires a lot of practical experience and an exposure to it. So I guess, yeah, that's an advice that I can give you. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Lovely to see all of you. I'm going to just end my class, and any questions, put out in the comment section. And if you've liked the entire live session, please hit the like button. And if you want any more sessions like this, let us know. We're more happy to conduct. Yeah. Thank you.